There's a lot to be smiley and cheery about. Sophie Woods is a thriving florist and author. She runs the flower shop with her mom's help and is actively still penning words down for her next project. At the moment, she's got an indie book that's received positive reviews from the likes of Lisa, a childhood friend. Her mom, Evelyn, has been anticipating the bestseller list, but Sophie thinks she's still got a whole lot to prove before her name could end up there. The list proves her wrong, as she's been given the number 3 spot, much to her surprise and delight. It's a huge career milestone because Sophie is a first-time indie author. It feels too good to be true, and she keeps expecting herself to wake up from a wild dream. So far, things have been going too smoothly. A big publisher named Meredith has caught wind of Sophie and wants a publishing deal with her. Sophie can also look forward to a book tour among numerous interviews. To help her with this, her agent, Janice, calls in a public speaking coach named Daniel to assist her. But guess what? She turns down his help, opting to handle it herself. Janice explains they'll be handy to each other, but Daniel declines Sophie's offer of editing his work in progress. An eye for an eye, it seems. But is it really worth it? Janice has called for a press conference, and Sophie's walk of fame starts immediately. There's no time to prepare, and she'll need to give her first public speech right away. The press conference is a disaster. Sophie has stage fright, and it shows through her stutter and fidgeting. Janice steps in to save her from total embarrassment, and then apologizes for springing up the conference without forewarning. But there is a looming book tour. It's late evening when Sophie returns to the florist shop. Her mom has been basking in her daughter's glory all day, and advises Sophie to do the same. Her book is a hit and has several positive reviews that she can be proud of. Sophie returns home and goes down memory lane. She has a box of journals and write-ups, and now she can add the bestseller list to them. Meanwhile, Tom, Daniel's producer, isn't impressed with his scripts. It needs work, and there's not much time left. Daniel tries to find a loophole, but Tom kicks against it. His only saving grace is to make his series good enough for production. For reasons best known to Sophie, she remains stubborn about needing Daniel's help, insisting she can handle further public affairs by herself. Janice disagrees, and eventually convinces her to not get cocky. If she messes up again, she could lose her dream career. Daniel proposes a business lunch to kickstart, and Sophie reluctantly agrees. During the business lunch, Sophie expresses how she doesn't need help, and hints that Daniel's portfolio isn't eye-catching enough to want to be coached under him. If Daniel notices the jab, he doesn't say. Instead, he asks to do a quick assessment of her to know if she can be let off the hook. He works her through an exercise, and she finally admits that she's scared. She's bad at facing a crowd and doesn't look forward to the interview that's only 10 days away. She's also skeptical about Daniel's help, but he's optimistic that they can refine her in time for her big day. Sophie reports for duty. She gets to see the workspace Daniel and Tom share before he takes her to a reserved spot for yoga. Breath control and calmness go hand in hand. Sophie will need to be relaxed if she's going to speak in public. They talk as they exercise, learn things, and get comfortable with each other. The session is interrupted when Evelyn texts, needing Sophie to cover for her at the flower shop. Daniel walks with Sophie to the shop, and it's an opportunity to hand in a monologue she should memorize. She'll recite the monologue when the time is right in front of a group of friends to test how well she's mastered her public speaking skills. The monologue is from Romeo and Juliet, and Sophie remarks that she's not a fan. In her opinion, love is rational. Daniel counters that if she has such a view, then she's never been in love. They've still got a meeting the following day. Daniel plans to work with Sophie's fears to further harness her skills. Over dinner with Evelyn, Sophie admits that she's learned a thing or two from Daniel, but it's nothing life-changing. To confront Sophie's fear of heights, Daniel picks a tall building that also holds sentiments for him. It takes a moment, but Sophie starts to relax, especially when she sees the view the ledge has to offer. The whole city is on display, jogging their memories from his high school to her first apartment. They even take a picture together after Sophie helps Daniel keep to tradition and take one for his dad, who lives upstate now. Sophie isn't the only one who has a big day to prepare for. Friday comes, and a nervous Daniel sends in his final draft of scripts for review. Now, he'll have to wait for feedback. The next fear Sophie needs to face is skating. She was good at it until she took a fall and had to get surgery. Regardless, she's still got the moves. Turns out, so does Daniel. With her fears confronted, they move on to body language, an avenue for them to get closer, metaphorically speaking anyway. Sophie tries to learn her lines to the teeth, but Evelyn advises that there is room for improvisation, and Sophie should take it easy on herself. When her mother leaves, Sophie goes back to practicing her lines. The trail run is here, and Tom comes to help set up the tech for Sophie's speech. There's a small waiting crowd, and Sophie is nervous to face and address them. When she gets on the stage, it's worse. She's struggling to remember the techniques, struggling to keep her breath under control. Unable to stomach another minute, she bolts, and Daniel quickly addresses the confused crowd before going after her. Sophie is frustrated that she's made no headway with the situation. She snaps when Daniel tries to encourage her, remarking that public speaking is easy for him, so he can't pretend to understand her stage fright. Like every other human, Daniel has his own shortcomings. He's not much of a writer. Sophie can sympathize with him and offers to help him edit because she wants to return the favor. He's been patient and kind with her. Daniel agrees to let her help him. During their next meeting, Sophie pinpoints her biggest fear: standing in front of a crowd and being perceived as weak. The phobia started after her dad passed away. She wanted to prove she was okay, but it backfired. And she's still not over how people took pity on her at that moment, because she wasn't stronger. Daniel assures her she's strong, talented, and beautiful. The last adverb catches her attention and threatens to cause awkwardness, at least until Janice's call interrupts. The talent agent has arranged for Sophie to be on a podcast. Daniel thinks it's a good medium to help Sophie practice facing a crowd. While they're talking, he gets an idea he's sure will help Sophie address a fear she's failed to mention. Sophie excuses Daniel and Tom so they can talk. Feedback is in, and the producers are asking for a whole new idea. Tom comes up with one: tailoring episodes about real-life clients like Sophie. Daniel isn't sold, pointing out several reasons why it could lead to a fallout between him and Sophie. Tom persists that they could draw inspiration and let Sophie know what they're up to after her interview. Daniel agrees on the grounds that they'll scrap the idea if she's uncomfortable with it. Sophie is afraid of small spaces. It's the fear she failed to mention. To conquer it, Daniel enlists Evelyn's help, and she lends them a closet in the flower shop. They pretend it's a podcast space, and Sophie's worries start to melt away. In small spaces full of lovers and two attractive people, it's inevitable that they have a moment. And like every legendary movie, that moment gets interrupted. Daniel and Sophie break their gaze the moment Evelyn pulls the door open to ask for a favor. Sophie has a gift for Daniel. It's a writing journal that should help him with his writing, and Daniel appreciates the gift, promising to check it out the minute he gets home. On the day of the podcast, Sophie is dressed, ready and waiting, but still nervous. Daniel shows up for support and wishes her luck when Georgia calls Sophie in. The anxiety intensifies when Sophie learns there's a new segment that's been added to the show. She hasn't practiced for it, and she starts to fidget even though Georgia tells her it's no big deal. Sophie remains a deer in the headlights, and Georgia finally notices. When she finds her voice, Sophie calls off the podcast and lies that she's under the weather. Georgia believes her and agrees to reschedule. Immediately, Sophie shuffles out and pulls Daniel along with her before her cover gets blown. Sophie sulks outside the building, beating herself up about messing up but desperate to get over her issue in time for the next milestone. Daniel sympathizes with her and suggests they have a dinner date to help relax and recover. Daniel meets Sophie at the restaurant, penning something down. She tells him she's working on her second novel, something she's planned to do regardless of her rising fame. Sophie writes because she has control of what happens. Unlike the real world, she feels empowered when writing, the same way Daniel feels empowered on a stage. Daniel has read her book and sincerely admires it, noting that it carries a unique, powerful voice that cannot be silenced. This inspires him to suggest that she approach her book tour not as a mere formality or technicality, but as a real opportunity, almost an agenda, to continue sharing that vital voice. Cue the romantic music, and Daniel asks for Sophie's hand to dance. They're about to kiss when the song switches to something more upbeat, and they follow suit, becoming playful and momentarily forgetting about their undeniable feelings for each other. Sophie remembers Daniel's scripts and asks him about them. He replies he's starting from scratch, and Sophie suggests she could help review the existing work and brainstorm new ideas. Daniel insists she head home and rest instead, as it's been a busy day. Sophie does the opposite of resting, practicing, and still messing up her public speaking skills in the mirror. Daniel sends in the scripts, seemingly having a change of mind. Sophie replies she'll have a look right away. She's having a look when she finds the draft episode about her. The following day, she confronts Daniel about it, feeling used. He tries to explain, but she isn't having it, just wanting him to leave. When Evelyn arrives with lunch, she and Sophie talk about what happened with Daniel. Sophie still questions Daniel's intentions, hurt that he didn't ask her permission to be used in his series. Evelyn suggests that she should give him a listening ear and understand why he did what he did. Meanwhile, Daniel is sulking, and Tom is convinced that his friend is going through a heartbreak. Daniel comes knocking and hands Sophie a gift he was planning to give her before their fight. He also apologizes and explains the thing with the episode, and Sophie decides not to be so mad at him anymore. He hovers at her door even after she's closed it, conflicted about maybe wanting to say or do more. Ultimately, he walks away. Sophie takes out his gift from the bag, revealing a framed picture they took at the ledge of one of the city's tallest buildings. The big day arrives, and Sophie tries to put herself and her emotions in order. She's hoping to meet Olivia Winters before the interview, but that won't be possible. Her first encounter with the icon will be in front of an audience. Frightening. She starts out rocky, but maybe it's Daniel or Evelyn's presence that helps her nerves. She starts to relax and ease into her answers, applying the techniques Daniel taught her. The interview goes well, and Meredith is ready to seal the book deal. Janice is also very excited and impressed. She points out that Daniel was all smiles watching Sophie. He's still waiting for her, and Sophie wastes no time running into his arms. The bad blood is behind them, and Sophie is more receptive about the episode about her. She suggests that they should collaborate on the project, one out of many to come. And as for that kiss, they reserve it for the end now that their fears are out of the way.